Think of your education as a 14-year cross-country road trip. Because every student is different, the system is designed to be flexible, allowing for many different routes and destinations. But back in the early days, this trip didn't have much of a map. Early thinkers like Catherine Beecher and Horace Mann were worried that there were no real standards for how teachers should be trained or how students should learn. Then, in the 1950s, the Soviet Union launched the Sputnik satellite. This created a wave of panic that American schools were falling behind the rest of the world, especially in science and math. That same fear returned in the 1980s with a report called A Nation at Risk. It warned the public that our educational standards were so low that the country's future was in danger. After decades of worrying about how we compare to other countries, leaders decided we needed a clear, standardized map, a set of rules that every school could follow to keep students on the right track. Of course, you can't go anywhere without gas money. In education, that funding is split between 3 different levels of government: federal, state, and local. The federal government pays for about 10% of the bill. However, that money comes with a lot of rules. To keep the funding, schools have to follow laws like the No Child Left Behind Act, which requires them to test students every year to prove they are making progress. The state government provides about half of a school's budget. They raise this money through state income and sales taxes, and in many places, a portion of the money even comes from state-run lotteries. The rest of the money is handled locally. Your local school board and superintendent have to fund their share primarily through property taxes collected from the homes and businesses in your specific neighborhood. Because so much of the budget relies on local property taxes, the quality of a student's educational vehicle often depends on how much their neighborhood can afford to pay. It means your zip code can have a huge impact on the resources your school has. Most students in the U.S. follow a standard timeline. Formal schooling that children are required to attend generally starts at age 5 and ends when they turn 18. Before that, families can choose from various early childhood recipes for learning. There are programs that focus on independent exploration, like Montessori, emotional development, like Waldorf, and others like High Scope or the Reggio Emilia approach that emphasize hands-on creative play. Once students reach the final 4 years of the journey, high school, they receive specific titles based on their grade. 9th graders are freshmen, 10th graders are sophomores, 11th graders are juniors, and the 12th graders are seniors. Families have several free options on this map. There are traditional public schools, charter schools that run on independent contracts, magnet schools that specialize in subjects like the arts or science, and even online or homeschools. Having all these choices gives parents the freedom to pick a route that fits their child's personality.
But it also means that the system is very decentralized, so no 2 students are ever following exactly the same path. Some families choose to take the toll roads, private schools that charge tuition. These range from boarding schools where students live on campus to language immersion schools and religious schools partnered with local churches. There are some statistical differences here. About 95% of private school students graduate, compared to the recent public school peak of about 83%. On average, people with a diploma earn $10,000 more per year than those who don't finish school, and they are much less likely to be unemployed. To make sure every student is actually learning, states use learning standards. Think of them as a staircase. Each step is a specific skill a child must master before they are allowed to move up to the next grade. Standards like the Common Core are like universal GPS coordinates. They attempt to make sure that these staircases look the same in every state, so that a 3rd grader in Seattle is learning the same math as a 3rd grader in Chicago. This is a major debate. Supporters say these standards protect students from the soft bigotry of low expectations, ensuring minority and lower-income students aren't left behind. Critics, however, see them as a form of government overreach that takes freedom away from local teachers. To prove a student has actually climbed the stairs, they have to pass high-stakes checkpoints. Standardized tests like the SAT or ACT act as the proof colleges need to see that a student is ready for higher education. The ultimate goal of these standards is fairness. They are designed to ensure that a graduate from a small rural town has the same skills and opportunities to compete for a job as someone from a major city. Even the way we grade is changing. Traditional grading averages all your work together, including things like effort and behavior.
But many schools are moving towards standards-based grading, which focuses only on whether you actually mastered the specific skills required for the course. There is even a newer approach called competency-based education. In this system, it doesn't matter how many hours you spend sitting in a classroom. The moment you prove you know the material, you level up and move to the next grade immediately. The American education system is a massive, often messy map of choices and funding. But despite all the different routes a student can take, the singular goal remains the same: to get every student to the top of that staircase, ready to step out into the real world.